Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Pete. This is where we talk about money, finances, where we give you information, education to help you make the best financial and investment decisions possible. In today's video, I've set myself a really simple task because I know how confusing and how frustrating it can be when you come across an investment term. You go and Google what it means, and then in the definition to what this term means, there is also another term in there that throws you off, and you start thinking, oh my God, why did I even begin? So in this video, I have set myself a task to explain what a mutual fund is, what an index fund is, and what an ETF is. Now, I know that you guys have heard all three of those terms before. Often they are used interchangeably, but they are different. So I want to explain what they basically are. And this is going to be in continuation of the conversation we started on Tuesday, where we were talking about how to invest money wisely as a beginner in a recession, because we are in a recession. And in that video, I alluded to the fact that you need to be invested in the market right now for full market saturation. What I meant by that is buying as many companies as you possibly can with the money that you're allocating into the stock market. And I gave the example of what happened during the recession in 2007, 2008, where the markets crashed by 51%, and people have made a fortune since then. The same thing is happening right now. You look at the FTSE 100, you look at the S&P 500. The stock markets are down. The FTSE 100, I think it was in October last year, or September last year, was trading at 7,700 or 7,600. It is a long way off its high, and it's that simple business theory. It's that simple business idea of you buy low, you sell high. So what you should be doing right now is investing in the market, picking up these companies that will be termed as recovery stocks, the ones that have been hit really hard by COVID but are big enough to survive and are deemed as companies that will survive but will take a number of years to recover to their previous highs in terms of their share price. Those are the companies you should be buying right now at a discount, because guess what? Wealthy people have been doing this for decades, and this is where wealth is created. Now, mutual funds, index funds, and ETFs are ways, avenues, vehicles in which you can invest. I spoke about collectors on Tuesday, so this is my way of giving you a little bit more information to empower you. But as always, please take this for educational purposes. This is not personal financial advice. I'm going to give you an idea of which one of the three I think you should be considering as a first-time investor, that uses it as a basis to do some further research so you can make a well-informed decision. Now that's out of the way, let's get into this. Okay, so what is a mutual fund? A mutual fund is essentially an investment strategy that pulls people's money together in order to invest in a basket of companies. So in other words, you and I will put money into a mutual fund, and the people who run this mutual fund will go off and buy a basket of companies. Typically within a mutual fund, you will typically have around about 90 companies as a minimum in this basket. Now, when they go and purchase these companies, they are making informed decisions based on research, and there is a team of people that specifically do that job, and they will also run the investment as well. Now, the eagle-eyed amongst you will know that if you've taken my investment course, for example, where I talk about diversification and making sure that you stack the odds in your favor, you will know that by buying 90 companies in a mutual fund, you're getting a really good bit of diversification in your investment, which means that you're essentially spreading your risk, and you're giving yourself the best chance of basically having a company that is going to do really, really well, that will give you a great return. So mutual funds are really, really, really good for that. They're run by a team of professionals, so you're getting professional help. And mutual funds have been around for a while. They were first introduced back in the 1920s, became very, very popular in the 1980s. And, they've grown in popularity ever since then. However, technology has advanced beyond measure since they were introduced all that time back then. And as a result of that, it means that now you don't necessarily need a team of people to do the research in terms of that buy list. And as a consequence of that, index funds were introduced. Now, an index fund is another version of a mutual fund, but it does something very, very different. So, a mutual fund, again, will buy a basket of companies, typically around about 90 as a minimum. And those 90 will be curated by a team of professionals, and the team of professionals will manage that investment fund as well, or that investment portfolio as well. With an index fund is basically designed to track an index. So an index is a stock market. So take the FTSE 100, which is the top 100 companies in the UK, or the S&P 500, which is the top 500 companies in the US. An index fund will essentially mirror the performance of the FTSE 100. So for example, if the FTSE were to go up 5% tomorrow, you'll see a 5% increase in your index fund. If it were to go down 8% the day after, you will also see that mirrored in your index fund as well. Now, it's key to understand that with an index fund, there is not a team of people selecting the businesses that they're buying, and they do not have a select team running the investment. It is simply mirroring the performance of an index. And an index is easy to find out who's in it because you just go to FTSE 100, top 100 companies. Now, with an index fund, if a company falls out of the S&P 500 or the FTSE 100, that will be reflected in your index fund. So it is literally tracking a stock market. It can track a lot of other things, but this is the easiest and clearest example to give. So an index fund tracks an index or a stock market. It is not managed by a team of professionals. Therefore, it is run passively, whereas a mutual fund is run actively by a team of professionals. Now, an ETF stands for Exchange Traded Fund. And it gives you the best of both worlds. It gives you the best of being able to basically have a big host of collection of companies that you're bought into. But unlike an index fund where you can only trade out of your position at the end of the trading day, an ETF allows you to trade 24 hours as long as a stock market is open. Now, that's great if you have liquidity worries, you need to get your investment out in a hurry, which is counterintuitive when we talk about emergency funds and the need for that. But it gives you more flexibility and it gives you the ability to actually hold a host of companies, but they behave more like shares because you can trade them 24/7 as long as a stock market is open. Now, with a mutual fund, I've already alluded to the fact that it is actively managed. So you have a team of people who look after this investment. They curate the list of companies that they're going to buy. They have the ability to change companies and disinvest companies if they wanted to. But you have a team of professionals managing that investment for you. Now, that could be great in some circumstances, and it does work for some circumstances. That is the truth. However, with that, because you've got a team of people, you also have the added cost that comes with that because the team of people need to be paid. So mutual funds can be quite expensive. Typically, they're priced around about 0.5% and 1%. And I certainly have seen some that are over 1%, 1.2 in that region. So they are quite pricey, but they do a specific job. They fulfill a specific role. Now, with index funds, on the other hand, because they are actively managed, so you haven't got a team, they simply track the performance of an index, you haven't got that additional cost. And therefore, you can find index funds really, really cheap, 0.2, 0.48, really cheap. So as a first-time investor, if you're investing money on a monthly basis and you're trying to get the best out of your money, then not having that associated cost could save you hundreds of pounds in the long run. However, I have to talk a little bit about active versus passive because there is a huge argument about, the fact that everyone should be passively invested. No one really needs the services of investment managers or stock pickers to run something on an active basis. And my response to that, being 15 years in the industry, is that there is a place for both of them. For example, if you were in a passive fund, because it is only tracking the performance of an index or the stock market, then if it's all very well and good when the market is going up in value, because anybody can make money when the market is going up in value. You don't need a stock picker to make those decisions for you. You can easily make money. And a passive index fund will make money in an up market where the market is just growing. However, on the flip side, if the market is falling and falling rapidly, then you may want to have the services of an active manager, because an active manager can intervene and say, right, okay, we think it's going to go down lower than this, and they'll set markers. And the minute you hit your market, they'll start to disinvest and put you into safer havens, bonds, for example, commodities, gold, for example, right? They have the autonomy and the ability to do that. Whereas with a passive investment, you're stuck unless you physically disinvest it at the end of a trading day. If you've got the know how and you've got the time to physically do that. And many people will, many people won't. But it's active has a place, passive has a place. And it's really important to understand on your journey, where do you think each of those will add value to you? If you're a first time investor, and again, you've got to remember long term view. If the market is going down, if you invested for 30 years, it doesn't matter. It's inconsequential. And again, I say this all the time, but a loss is not real unless you cash it in. The same thing is true for a profit. Your portfolio could be up 100%, 125%. That number on paper is not real until you physically cash it in. So it's worthwhile bearing that in mind when you're trying to consider active versus passive management. Now, ETFs, like I said, you can trade 24/7, and it gives you that ability to get in and get out as you see fit. And ETFs are great. They can be a little bit cheaper than index funds even, but with ETFs, you do have certain costs in order to get in. Whereas with an index fund, for example, if you're investing on a monthly basis, index funds are really, really good because it means that you can literally just put money in and send a direct debit to the index fund, and it will just be reinvested for you on that monthly basis without incurring any fees, and you'll really start to benefit from that pound cost averaging. You can't really do the same with ETFs, although there is a lot of ETFs and lots of stuff that you can actually now invest in using an ETF. I mean, there's synthetic ETFs and all kinds of stuff. There's lots and lots and lots out there. But crucially, guys, it's important that you do further research, okay? It's important that you understand how these fit into your plan. It's important to understand how the stock market actually works. And some of the stuff that I've referenced here is all in my investment course, where I talk about investor psychology, diversification, and all of this kind of stuff. It's in the investment course because it will help you get that grounding. Go and do some further research. Make sure that you're comfortable with all of these concepts. If you have further questions on this, then please let me know in the comments. Many of you will message me on IG, so make sure you message me on IG and I'll happily answer any questions that you have there as well. So you're a first-time investor, and now you know that it makes sense to start investing for saturation in the market, because let's face it, if you hold two companies, you have less chance of those two companies winning than if you had 15 companies, right? It is a numbers game to a certain extent. So you now know that that makes sense, but we've just spoken about mutual funds, index funds, ETFs. Which one would be best for you as a beginner? Well, in my opinion, especially if you're looking to invest on a monthly basis, get the benefit of pound cost averaging, and you just want a simple, easy way to invest in the market without you having to do much work at all. You simply set up a direct debit, then an index fund for me would be the place to go. And the reason for that, again, is for everything that I've just explained. Ability to invest in the top 100 companies in the UK, for example, or the top 500 companies in the US, for example, at a pretty good cost-efficient rate. And you have the ability and the time, hopefully, to ride out this recession and invest for the long term. Paying in on a monthly basis is very, very easy. You set up a direct debit. There are no get-in fees. It's literally sent, invested, and dispersed amongst the companies that you basically buy. It will really give you that market saturation that I spoke about on Tuesday, and it will really get you in a position where you can create wealth. Remember, wealthy people have been doing this for decades. They'll be doing this right now. People should be buying stocks at a discount. A lot of stock markets are at a discount right now. So if you're not participating, not only are you missing out, but you're doing yourself a huge disservice. And if I can encourage you to do anything, I don't care whether it's £10 a month, £20 a month, £50 a month, get going with something. Get involved. This is where wealth is created. We've just gone through COVID, which has had global consequences for economies across the world. This is a great opportunity. Index funds are easy to access, they're very, very cost efficient, and they are low maintenance for you to basically run. Yes, they're passive, they haven't got an individual physically making calls for you, but guess what? We're already in a down market. If the recovery takes 3 to 4 years and we see growth over those 3 to 4 years, you're going to get growth, not paying a huge amount in fees in order to accumulate your wealth. So guys, let me know what you thought. Did I do a good job at explaining this? Did I miss anything? I'm sure that you guys will let me know in the comments, and please do. But what are your thoughts? Are you using mutuals? Are you using index funds? Are you using ETFs? Are you using a mixture of the three? Let me know how you're getting on. Let's have a conversation. If you're not listening to the podcast is right there. Make sure that you check it out. It's a really, really, really good listen. If anything that I've talked about here today still goes over your head, feel free to send me a message on IG. Happily answer any questions that I can there. But I strongly encourage you. I do have an investment course. It's $99.99. It's 4 chapters, 15 lessons. You can get through this in around about 94, 96 minutes. There are assessments in there. There are worksheets in there. This will give you the foundations that you need as a first-time investor to understand how investment actually works. We talk about investor psychology, keeping your money safe. We talk about tax positions. We talk about risk. We talk about diversification. We talk about how important it is for you to consider your investment timeline. If you're investing for 10 years, that picture is extremely different in terms of the risk that you could, should, and are able to take than if you're only investing for 3 years. Those principles are crucial for you to understand. So there will be a link in the description. Thank you so much for watching this. Until Tuesday, have an amazing weekend. I'll catch you soon.